Hello, welcome back to Horizons Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're going to continue on with Suzerain. So last time we left off, Peter resigned as the vice president after it came out that he had an illicit affair with our secretary, who was also a Rumburgian spy. That was certainly an interesting and unexpected development, and today we're going to kind of see what the fallout is from that. So let's pick up the newspapers here, which are probably not going to be very kind. Alright, Whole Sword Post. Rumburg infiltrated Maroon Palace. President's secretary arrested. Breaking news from the Maroon Palace. Presidential Secretary Olivia Suno has just been revealed to be a spy from Rumburg. More details are forthcoming, but it appears the agent, whose real name is not yet known, managed to get past the palace staff's stringent background checks and obtain confidential information from within the Reign administration. The president has taken swift, decisive action to move her from her position and bring her to justice. Alright, Lockhaven Times. President's secretary arrested for treason. Olivia Suno, secretary to President Anton Rain, was arrested yesterday following an investigation that revealed her to be a covert agent from Rumburg. Her trial is scheduled to begin in the next several days. In the meantime, the question of how an enemy spy was able to infiltrate the Maroon Palace on such a high level remains. President Rain has announced he will soon be holding a press conference to address this potentially brewing scandal. And from the Radical, VP Vectern resigns in disgrace. Peter Vectern cemented his place as the most pathetic vice president in Swordfish history after revealing that he leaked sensitive government information to Anton Rain's secretary, now known to be a Rumburg spy. After Rain attempted to blame himself for the leak, Vectern tearfully assumed full responsibility and implicated himself in multiple extramarital affairs before resigning from his position. May we suggest Rain appoint a woman as VP this time around? I mean, that'll probably piss a lot of people off, but if that's an option, yeah, maybe. Alright, let's head to Whole Sword, and yeah, we're going to start with the briefing on the women's rights situation, just because, why not? I was sitting in my office. I looked at the clock. 2:26 p.m. It was almost time for my appointment with Ciara on women's rights. There's a knock at the door. Ciara entered the room with folders in her hand. The door did not close behind her. Monica entered the room and stood next to Ciara. Mr. President? Anton, before we start, I just wanted to thank you for agreeing to this meeting. I've been dreaming about this ever since I volunteered at the Swordfish League of Women. I can't believe the moment's finally here. Yeah, I think both of you together could finally bring change to Swordland. I hope you're right. Ciara sat down on a chair and laid down the folder she was holding. First off, Mr. President, I wish to thank you for pushing a decree on establishing gender equality in education. You know this is something I've been trying to accomplish since my appointment as minister. The situation in the public schools was disturbing for me. With that said, we still have a long way to go before Swordfish women are able to enjoy the same rights and privileges as men. Or even as their counterparts in Akazian and Navcantana. We've been lagging behind on this for decades, Anton. And this isn't only a moral issue. I've seen enough revolutions in this world to understand the main driver of any change. Money. She flipped a folder open and started pulling out documents. In United Cantana, law dictates that women earn the same wages as men in their respective fields. My research shows that this led to a 15.5% increase in productivity. I could say this had a direct influence on the superpower status. Kazi passed laws ensuring maternity leave rights, child daycare centers, and tax deductions for working families. In turn, they experienced a 12.6% productivity boost in a flourishing economy. Both countries also have significantly lower infant mortality rates, a statistic I believe is directly linked to the improved status of women. Our administration has thus far failed to pull Swordland out of its economic recession. She leaned back in her chair. So I'm asking, why not try passing similar laws? At worst, even if they fail to improve the economy, it would still be a significant step forward for our society. It's only logical. Monica handed me one of the documents. It had a list of bullet points on it. The tool is talked it over, and these are the measures we believe are most urgently needed. Let my eyes wander down the list. Domestic violence. I shouldn't have to tell you how crucial this is. It is utterly unbelievable that, in this day and age, Swordfish men are legally allowed to beat their wives. The hell? I agree, it's a travesty. I'm happy we're on the same page. As instances are especially high within Blutish communities, I would also advocate for setting up a special domestic violence task force in collaboration with Blutish women's rights organizations. Monica looked at her strangely. I'm sure that's something we ought to focus on. The Bloods are different. They have their own rules. Monica, I'm surprised at you. You can't let women suffer under the patriarchy, no matter their ethnicity. I did not realize before how similar those voices are. This could be annoying. That's okay. You should lift up all Sordish women, Bloods included. We can discuss the particulars once the laws have passed. Alright, how about support for working mothers? Ciara nodded. It simply isn't fair that women in the workforce are punished for having children. Remember what I told you about Janice, my friend who basically got fired for becoming pregnant? That would never happen to a man. I mean, technically a man can't get pregnant, but I get what you mean. Paid maternity leave and state-subsidized daycare centers could be key to keeping more mothers employed. It's true, having children never hindered my career prospects. It shouldn't hinder a woman either. Exactly. Moving on. Equal treatment in the workforce. That's an easy one. Right now, Solden is one of the continent's largest pay gaps between men and women. We need legislation ensuring that that a woman doing the same job as man is paid the same wage. We would also introduce quotas to get more women into positions of power, in the assembly, for instance, or on the boards of corporations. Eventually, narrowing the pay gap is a far more pressing issue as it would bring financial independence to countless low-income women. Ciara, we never talked about this, but I always thought that with more women in power, higher status for all women would naturally follow. Women are starving because they don't make a living wage. That's a damn sight more important than your friend Janice being passed over for promotion. I don't see a problem with quotas, but tackling the pay gap is much more urgent. Monica gritted her teeth. Thank you, Mr. President. That covers all subjects. What are your thoughts so far? I mean, you've made a good case for all these changes. Thank you. If we can pull this off before the elections, the Reign administration will make history. Let's talk about how to proceed. I want to establish a commission for women's rights in Sorland with me as its head. Our goal should be passing and implementing a set of laws to solve the problems we just discussed. As the commission's spokeswoman, my responsibility will be to make speeches and organize fundraisers. I'll be the face of this movement while Ciara handles groundwork. If I can show the first ladies behind this movement, many women will feel encouraged. Ciara gestured down at her outfit. Especially those who aren't keen on pantsuits. The organization's name will be the Commission on the Status of Women. It's gonna be damn hard getting your laws past the assembly. Bunch full of jackasses. I know, but even a watered-down version would be better than nothing. Mr. President, I know we've had friction in the past, but this has nothing to do with the failed education reform. This is a completely separate topic, and it should be handled as such. One more thing to consider before making a decision. This could help silence any of the public's lingering questions regarding a former Vice President and the Olivia Suno affair. I have the chance to be here. Think about Deanna and her future. I hope you make the right decision. They rose from their seats expectantly. I took a few minutes to think. Wait, so they're just standing there while you're sitting back pondering? Yeah, I'll approve the creation of the commission and support your bill in the assembly. Monica turned to her. Wait, what? I think there's a sentence missing there, but whatever. That's all the excitement, Master? You did it. We did it. Monica hugged Ciara. She smiled uncomfortably. It's not over yet, Monica. The true battle is in the assembly. We will celebrate once it's done. We'll start gathering names for the commission tonight. Ciara started collecting her documents. She and Monica headed towards the door. Monica paused before leaving. I love you, Anton. I'll see you at home. I could hear Monica and Ciara talking excitedly to each other as the door closed behind them. I looked out my window over the city of Holsword. It was a clear day outside. Nice. Alright, so we got a couple updates up here. But Monica is added. She became the spokesperson for the Commission for Women's Rights. Journal. just decided to have Olivia Suno try it as a response to the affair. Which I could have sworn I looked at before, but whatever. Okay. Alright, let's deal with this one first. Swordish League of Women donation. The most influential women's rights NGO, the Swordish League of Women, is organizing a massive fundraising campaign to raise awareness in Swordish society and has reached out to us personally for private donations. We'll donate, that's fine. It's all our money, but we might still have some more investments coming in from, was it Gus, I think? Whatever, we'll see what happens. Alright, we got 2 newspaper articles here. Looks like they're probably going to both be about our donation. So, the Lockhaven Times says, Rain makes donation to Swordish League of Women. As Swordish women continue to march for equality, Anton Rain showed his solidarity by donating a large sum to the Swordish League of Women. This was not only a generous gesture, it marked the first time a president of Swordland acknowledged and personally supported the women's rights struggle. Reaching for comment, a spokeswoman from the League expressed her gratitude to Rain while emphasizing that the new policies will help the women's cause much more than finances. And the Radical, Anton Rain donates to support women. Will policies follow? Is it femwashing or the real deal? President Rain made an unusually large out-of-pocket donation towards the Swordish League of Women, but has yet to budge on women's rights policies. Some of Rain's defenders argue that the issue has always been on his agenda, but had to take a back seat as other, more urgent priorities sprang up during the first half of his term. This donation could be an indication that they're right, or an empty gesture meant to placate them without angering Rain's conservative base. Nah, if I have the choice, I'll definitely try to do something there. Alright, selection of a new vice president. It was here, the day I'd been dreading since Peter's resignation. At the entrance to my office, my new secretary Sylvia took my hat and coat. She was a matronly woman in her 40s. She had a spotless background, assisting various Maroon Palace officials. Replacing Livia had been easy, but replacing my vice president would be difficult. Swordish law dictated that if the vice president failed to complete his term, new candidates were to be put forward by the members of the cabinet. After much deliberation, the list had been narrowed down to 3. Lucien Glad was the frontrunner, followed by Gloria Tori and Alban Clavin. It was up to me to decide who would fill Peter's shoes. I wanted to chat with them one-on-one before making my decision. And at the moment, Lucien is probably the best bet, but really, Gloria might not be the worst idea either. And Alban's a dick, so he's no-go. I had just begun to settle at my desk when I heard a knock at the door. Lucien entered and perched on the chair across from me. Sir? Alright, Lucien, you're one hell of a strategist, but why should I make you VP? It is precisely by my capacity as strategist that I have evaluated the experience and capabilities of your potential vice presidents. Objectively, I am by far the most qualified candidate. I would advise you not only to think about our long history together, but also the many crises I have helped shepherd you through. I won't say much beyond that. I believe my work speaks for itself. You're such a valuable strategist, though. I don't know if I can afford to lose you in that capacity. As Vice President, my ability to serve you and this administration will only increase. Lucien got up from his chair. I expect you'll make the right decision. I left my office. Just a minute later, there's another knock at the door, and Gloria Tori came in. I'm just stumbling over words today. Mr. President, I must say I was not at all surprised when my name was put forward. You seem confident. I am, Mr. President. To put it simply, what I bring to the table is years of experience. I've been a member of the Assembly for almost 20 years, and I spent 7 as its Speaker. This alone speaks for itself. As you know, I am also the leader of the Conservative wing of the party. You can see what I'm getting at. Tell me, what are you getting at? I'm gonna play coy. Well, I will be blunt. Being the leader of the Conservative wing means that if I am Vice President, we would have more votes. This would allow us to pass bills far more easily, especially if those bills are aligned to my bloc's causes. Except we're going to be trying to pass more bills that would be going against the Conservative wing. We're already aligned. Then that makes things easier, doesn't it? I want you to know that I value order over everything else, Mr. President. Being the Speaker of the Assembly requires principles, nerves like steel, and determination to uphold proper conduct. You can expect to see the same of my Vice Presidency. You being a woman could also prove advantageous. Not just any woman, a strong woman who was able to protect order in a room full of unruly men for 7 years. Think about the message it would send. The first woman Vice President of Swordland. No, the first woman Vice President in the whole continent. What support you would lose among traditionalists, you would gain tenfold among Swordish women. There's much to gain from selecting me, Mr. President. I believe you'll make the right choice. Okay, so she's actually saying it's cool to lose support among traditionalists. Which seems slightly contradictory to trying to gain the conservative vote? I mean, I would think doing anything that goes against the grain would just piss off the conservatives, but I don't know. You're right, there is much to gain. I'll consider it. I knew you'd see reason. I wish you a nice day, Mr. President. Gloria made her way out. A minute later, there's another knock at the door. This time, it was Albin Cloven's turn. Greetings, Mr. President. It's an honor to have been chosen as a candidate. Really terrific. I don't remember this guy's voice, but I remember he's a douche, so we're going to just go with it. I'll be straightforward. Why should I pick you? As you know, I represent the reformist wing of the party. What Swordland needs today is not only to catch up to our more modern neighbors, but to surpass them. I believe we can do that. No, I'm sure. However, this will only be possible if we set aside our differences and unite as one. That is the outlook I wish to bring to the position of Vice President, so that Swordland can excel and soar to new heights. Very idealistic. I like it. Thank you. The fact is, if I'm Vice President, reformist members of our party will be more likely to support you and your causes. This will smooth the passage of bills and help move our administration and our country forward in record time. That makes sense. What this country needs is more dynamic, youthful leadership. Look at you, President Rain. You became the youngest member of the Assembly and completely rejuvenated Swordиш politics. I want to do the same. We need to be able to take risks to make gains, and that is only possible with a forward-looking perspective. There, I've stated my case. I trust your judgment. Thank you. I will consider what you said. Thank you, Mr. President. Albin got up and left. I leaned back in my chair, thinking about the pros and cons of each of my vice presidential candidates. I could almost hear Peter's voice in my head, laughing at the absurdity of my situation. But of course, he wasn't there. Nice, okay. So, I guess let's go pick our vice president. The vice president position remains vacant after the events of the scandal and has to be filled by a capable person that the administration and party can trust. Several options have been laid out by the cabinet, and we need to make a decision immediately. I mean, Albin's already out. He's kind of a dick, and he didn't support us in our constitutional reforms anyway. So, yeah, he's a no-go. I was kind of between Lucien and Gloria. I'm leaning towards Gloria simply because it sent a good message for our, women's reforms. And honestly, I think I'd like to just keep Lucien where he is. Because, I mean, really, if we bump him up to VP, then we have to find somebody else to replace him, and then I don't know, it just feels like it might be a spiral of just endlessly replacing people who probably aren't as qualified. So we're just going to try to make some history here, and we're going to promote Gloria Tori. As a codex entry. Oops. There we go. Assembly should just be saying Gloria is the new vice president. Scroll down. Yeah, 1956, President Rain appointed Gloria Tori as the vice president. So, cool beans. Huh, no news reports yet, but alright, that'll probably change after this when we start the day at the palace. Lucy and I were on our way to my office. I was holding a mug of coffee in one hand and a folder of various documents in the other. As we turned a corner, Lucy spoke. The Arshoff anniversary is coming up soon. Most important day for the British people. Botanic Arshoff is one of the symbols, as you know.
Your presence at this event would show your desire for more unified Swordland. We'll reap the benefits if you decide to go, I'm sure.
Yeah, you're right. Pretty sure I talked about this a couple episodes ago. I'd definitely like to try to support them. Lucy nodded. We rounded another corner to reach the last corridor leading to my office. Lucian suddenly stopped in front of one of the doors. The plaque that once said Vice President Peter Vectern had been removed. The door was halfway open, and I could see a few workers moving boxes around the room. One of them saw us, bowed his head, and changed the name tag on the door to Vice President Gloria Tori. I heard Gloria's voice from behind him. Be careful with that box. She noticed us and immediately made her way towards us. Mr. President, Mr. Gallard. How's it going? Are you settled in yet? Getting there, Mr. President. That reminds me. Mr. Gallard, could you talk to the staff secretary for me to get the furniture sorted here? I have a few more boxes coming in. Lucian's upper lip curled. He and Gloria stared at... Okay. He and Gloria stared each other down for a moment.
I am not your servant, Miss Tori.
It was just a simple request, Mr. Gallard. I don't know what's with you, but I don't like your attitude. It's the job of an office secretary, Mrs. Tori, not a chief strategist. I know. As I said, it was just a simple request. I do not understand why it's becoming such a huge deal.
Very well, I'll do it. I'll see you later, Mr. President and Mrs. Vice President. I'll present you with our options on the Ashraf matter later.
He walked out, leaving me alone with Gloria. Well then, I must get back to the move. Thank you for visiting, Mr. President. I'll stop by as soon as this is done. Expecting good work from you. Don't disappoint me. I assure you, I will not. Gloria nodded at me and went into her room. I entered my office and asked Sylvia for a second cup of coffee to wake me up. Another long day is waiting for me. Alright, so that's definitely just a filler episode there, but that's fine. I don't know, I definitely did not expect Lucian to take being passed over for the VP position lightly, but that's okay. Alright, so political overview. We have an update on the legislative here. Okay. So Albin Clavin is now the Speaker of the Assembly, with Gloria Tori being promoted to Vice President. That makes sense. Alright, let's check our newspapers, hopefully talking about our new VP. Yep, there we go. Full Sword Post. Gloria Tori rises to the task. Following the unforeseen departure of Peter Vectern, President Rain has picked Gloria Tori as his new Vice President. Mrs. Tori is a well-known figure among the USP members, and she is the current leader of the Conservative wing of the party. She has served as the Speaker of the Grand National Assembly for many years and brings a proven track record to the table. Mrs. Tori will begin serving her post immediately in the administration. And the Radical, Gloria Tori is the Vice President. It's official. Gloria Tori is the new Vice President of Swordland. Out of all the candidates, we are amazed that she's the final pick of President Rain. She certainly has experience, but the dynamic in between them leaves much to be desired as the two leading figures of our country. Regardless, we can say with certainty that Mrs. Tori will be a much better Vice President than Peter Vectern. Not entirely know if I agree with that, but at the same time, the dumbass did leak state secrets to a spy, so, I guess it's a pretty low bar for success now. Alright. So, let's, check out Vezord here. Oh yeah, the weird issues with, the gendarmerie. I arrived in the city of Vezord with my new Vice President Gloria after receiving an emergency meeting request from Yosef and Lilius. I had seen the reports of a recent issue that rose between the Sordish police forces and the gendarmerie units in the city. The report said that an operation against a drug trafficking gang in Vezord failed due to miscommunication. It was not hard to guess what this meeting was going to be about. We entered the city hall and made our way to the second floor. I could hear Yosef and Lilius' voices echoing through the hall. I opened the door to the meeting room. The two ministers didn't even realize.
This is unacceptable. How dare the police meddle in the affairs of the gendarmerie?
It was your men who started this ridiculousness and meddled with an ongoing police investigation. Their voices were getting louder and louder.
The raw security is my jurisdiction. Your men were way outside Vezor.
Ministers, please stop your bickering in front of Mr. President. We will get nowhere if you continue with this behavior.
Mr. President, Mr. Ms. Vice President. Apologies, but Miss Graffia fails to understand her place.
No, Mr. Lancia. You are the one who does not understand his place. If you continue to do so, you'll pay for it one day.
That's enough. Calm down, both of you.
I am trying really hard to stay calm, Mr. President.
Miss Graff, you're pushing your boundaries.
Let's go with Yosef first. Why not? Yosef, let's hear your side of the story.
The Lieutenant General of the Gendarmerie was tracking a drug trafficking ring in the countryside of Vessel. We immediately acted. Just when we were about to raid their hideout with live weapons, the police units arrived on the scene and alerted the criminals. As a result, they got away.
Isn't there a line of communication between you?
There is, but the Minister of Defense decided to avoid notifying the police department about the planned raid.
The same could be said about you, because reports show that you knew about the gang and their stash in the countryside.
I started tapping the table with my fingers. What I hear is you're both incompetent.
Sure.
I hate both of these people, so let's be a dick about it. Both of them started staring at the table without saying anything. Lilius finally spoke up.
I think this was the last straw. Internal security matters should be handed to the Ministry of Interior completely. We are called the Ministry of Interior for a reason. We can't let any more scoops like this happen again.
She looked at me.
I want the Gendarmerie to be transferred to the Ministry of Interior.
Wait, didn't she ask about this a while ago? I thought we already agreed to this. I don't know, whatever.
What? Woman, are you out of your mind?
Yosef turned red with anger. He composed himself after a moment.
I have to agree with Miss Graff. If we unify the commander and channel security to improve, there's no question to that.
Look, Miss Tori, I know you're new at this, and there's much that you're not briefed about, but
I don't have to be briefed to see common sense, Mr. Lancia. I'd also like to remind you that it's Miss Vice President to you.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I won't hand over Gendarmerie to her. Out of the question.
Why? Because it makes sense?
You already reduced the military budget and dealt a blow to our defense. I can't understand why you're continuing to weaken our military.
The police forces have certain units that are capable of conducting similar operations. And I want to remind you about your promise, Mr. President.
I remember it very well, don't you worry. I literally just said that.
That is relieving.
What promise? Now I see what's going on here.
Enlighten us. What is going on here, Yosef?
Lilius set us up to create this incident.
Lilius bit her lips. She seems to be kind of, giving up the proof that she already did it, but it's alright.
That is going too far. What proof do you have?
There's no way that the police has arrived at the right time of a month-long search on the exact day and minute of the Gendarmerie raid.
I mean, that's quite probably true, but let's take it down a notch, bro.
This kind of an accusation is unheard of. It's nonsense. If I were you, I wouldn't believe a word Mr. Lancia says, Mr. President.
Heed my word, Mr. President. When dealing with these situations, you need to always look at who gets what out of it.
I won't stand idly by these utterly ridiculous and baseless accusations. I don't have time for this. What is your decision?
I mean, I was already going to do that anyway, because it makes more sense. The Gendarmerie will be transferred to the Ministry of Interior.
You're making a mistake.
I mean, I probably am, but it's a little late for mistakes now. I've probably already totally torpedoed my presidency.
Thank you for being a man of your word. It was the right call to establish modern internal security structure.
There are bigger issues at hand that need attention. Focus on them instead of each other.
We'll do our best, right, Mr. Lancia?
That's right, Miss Graff.
I left the room to attend my next scheduled meeting. Fantastic. Okay. Ooh, yeah, a couple things happened. Alright. Journal. Oh, wow, there's a lot down there I didn't scroll down to. Oopsie doodle. Alright. So, Lucien told me Livy is a spy, blamed Romberg for their involvement. Paid to resign. Women's Rights Commission. Monica's a whatever public figure in that. Donated money. Gloria's new vice president. And I side with Ministry of Interior. Cool beans. And that's probably going to be in here. Yep. So, Gendarmerie under Interior. And Ministry of Interior strengthened. I don't know, there's a lot of stuff going on, so it made more sense to let all the policing be taken care of by the Ministry of the Interior. Don't need too many agencies trying to do things on their own. Nice, alright. Let's check out the news here. So, the Whole Sword Post. Anti-corruption police investigate state officials. The Reign administration is going forward with its unnecessary probe into top-ranking state officials, despite Nia Morna's anti-corruption police so far uncovering little, if any, evidence of wrongdoing among the old guard. We at the Post continue to maintain that it is an improper use of government time and resources, and remain convinced that this will turn out to be nothing but a witch hunt in the end. See, they say that, as we already caught one spy. So, who knows? Also, this is like the super conservative newspaper, so I can suck it. Anyway, Gendarmerie transferred to Interior. Palace decided to transfer the Gendarmerie force of the Ministry of Defense to the Interior, following a dispute that occurred earlier in the week. It is reported that the two ministries have resolved the problems, but President Rain wanted to improve the internal versus external security structure. Officials from the MOD did not comment on the transition publicly, while the Minister of Interior, Graf, hailed the move as a necessary one. Fantastic. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and read this report here. Old Guard Investigation Report. The Anti-Corruption Police has continued its investigation of the Old Guard. A few leads have been uncovered, revealing several low-level cases of corruption, as well as high-ranking party officials' possible ties to the Bernard Circus assassination. These will be duly followed up on. Alright, that's not totally sketchy at all. Definitely interested in seeing what comes of that. But I think we're going to have to wait until next time for that. So, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time.